So with all of your modern engineering and everything, what it sounds like to me is not only comfortability for the driver and the passengers, safety and predictability, which we all know whether you're driving on the street or on the track, predictability is one of the most important things in replicatable performance.
That's exactly right. And not just performance, but just in general well-being driving down Main Street. You know, you want to know that when you turn that steering wheel that your car's going to go in that direction. There's not going to be flex in it. It's not going to hesitate to take that corner to go around the debris that crashed onto the road in front of you. You know what's going to happen when you turn that wheel of your car. You know what's going to happen when you push on the brake pedal. It's going to stop, it's going to steer, it's going to grip, it's not going to twist, and it just makes the whole experience safer and more fun, really, because you can push your car then a little bit more.
Hey everybody, it's Cameron of SpeedTech Performance, and today we are out in the shop and I am bringing to you a new product. So I thought the best way to do that is bring the person who designed it. So I have Shane, he is our mechanical engineer here. So Shane, tell me what the heck we're looking at.
This, my friend, is a subframe that is removable for our Mopar friends, both B-body and E-body.
But I thought SpeedTech Performance was a GM company. Like, what the heck is this?
That's what people think, but we really make products for everything. And so now we're moving into the Mopar world, replacing your front K-member with a whole new front subframe ready to go.
Really? And you said it's E and B body?
E and B body is what we'll be launching. There's some tweak and differences between the two, obviously, but we'll get that all sorted out and have it ready for market.
Okay, so break this down for me. Tell me a little bit about the process. How did we come to have this available? What was the first steps that you took on an engineering side?
Well, we had a customer that got a brand new, not brand new, but it was a nice, good looking, good condition Cuda brought into the shop. And the first thing we do is we strip it all down and we take all the measurements. We measure on the floor, we tape it all off, and we try to grab all the critical points throughout the whole vehicle. Then we lift it up in the air and we start scanning it. We got a 3D scanning capabilities here at SpeedTech, and we're able to take that model and that scan and that floor and bring it into the computer. And from there, we can design all the frame, all the clearancing, all the exhaust, everything.
So you're able to check tire clearance, like you said, exhaust, headers.
Correct.
Fit different engines.
Transmission compatibility, engine compatibility, everything. We build basically the whole car digitally to make sure everything behaves and works correctly together. And then we can start actually manufacturing the product.
That process is so crazy to me. So tell me, you know, what we've done, like let's say where this is a subframe car, we're obviously known in the industry for having Camaro subframes. What have we implemented from that design that we know is tested on the track, on the road, driven all over the country, all over the world? What have we implemented from the Camaro design to the Mopar design?
Sure, yeah. So the front subframe geometry from the Camaro, that's track proven and everything, we basically grabbed that, the control arms, the spindle, all that moving, critical, dynamic stuff, and plopped it in the right position inside the Cuda, and then built the subframe system so we can easily attach it into the car.
So when you say easily attach, the way that I know of like a Cuda is set up, what do you have to do to attach that now? Like for installation of this, what does it take?
It's not as easy as a Camaro, and that's why there's a lot of Camaro parts and not a lot of Mopar parts. But we try to simplify it as much as possible. We'll have a nice instruction set ready to go out for it, but there will be portions of the frame rail that get removed that had all the old geometry and all the old components on it. And it's clearly mapped down, and it's nice clean lines, and we give you all the materials you need to plug up and make it all look nice, neat, and finished to then make it receive this subframe. And what my favorite thing about this subframe is that it's not a permanent attachment in the car, because the old cars are a unibody and those frame rails are stuck. This will be removable. So when you get your red-eye Hellcat, You can install it like this and make sure everything fits and everything's nice and clean. And then you can just lift it up into the car, or if you have a hoist, have this on a body cart, just lower the body down over all of this stuff that's really hard to reach. And then just a few bolts in and boom, you have it all installed.
That's crazy to me, because anything that I've seen that's currently on the market and available for, you know, in this case like a Cuda, there's nothing like this. So tell me, why is this such a game changer for that market?
Well, we really had to change all the geometry from those old Mopar things. And then kind of the joke goes is that the Mopars are really good at going straight.
Right, they're great. They're fantastic and fast cars.
And it's a great vehicle, but we needed to add a lot more turning capabilities to that. And that's what our product for the Camaro did, is it really increased our tire width that we could have and steering angle. So with this, and with this design and with how wide the Cuda is, we can actually fit a 325 R19 in the front with full 30 degrees of steering.
So that's like a 13-inch wide tire in the front, thereabouts. And you're saying full lock-to-lock steering?
Full lock-to-lock, more than your car that you would have originally. So this probably had around 25, 27 degrees of steering, maybe from factory. So you're getting more steering with way bigger tire now.
So I know, you know, obviously in the race world, that's fantastic. What does that equate to for street driving, you know, as far as the capabilities of this front end, whether it's the suspension components or it's the steering rack? Because I know with all of our things, we run the Sweet Manufacturing steering rack. It's a dual power rack. So what does that equate to for street driving?
Oh, night and day. You know, when you get in those old cars, and even though you do a nice restoration and even getting new control arms and things, when you're going down the highway and you go around a semi truck, you're a little white knuckle on that. You know, there's some give, there's some sway, you know, going on in the shocks and the suspension and the steering. So it just makes it drive like a modern car. So if you ever got into a modern Charger and how that drives, it will feel very similar to this. If not, this will feel better than even the modern cars. So you can comfortably drive down with one hand down the highway or cruising Main Street and just be confident in your suspension and in your vehicle that you will go where you want it to go.
All right, so Shane, you are talking about how well this is going to perform on the street and on the track. Tell me what is included in our suspension setup that's going to make that happen.
Oh yeah, sure. So the big point that makes this drive so much better is that we really designed this suspension system from the ground up here at SpeedTech. It's not based off of any other technology from any other maker. It's not like a Mustang 2 system or anything like that. We really spent a lot of time modeling and checking the geometry and checking the movements and the dynamics of all the control arms and our roll centers and all that scientific-y, racy stuff
Way over
to
my
make it very comfortable to drive on the road. So we have a double A-arm system with a 3-piece sway bar and with a coilover system. It's all a complete package basically. I mean, I could talk about any one of the components. I could talk about the spindle and why it's so cool and it's tall and everything, but it really isn't worth anything without the control arms and without the control arms hooking up to the subframe where they do. It really is a whole package.
And it sounds like there's a ton of adjustability as far as your setup, whether you're track or your street.
Yes.
What kind of tunability is included in this package?
Well, because it's a coilover system, you can stick on whatever coilover you want that fits within our range that we spec out. And so with your whatever coilover that you want, you can really tune that to be as soft or as rough that you need it to be. And then there's some minor ride height adjustment. Obviously with the 3-piece sway bar, you can adjust your spring rate with that sway bar to be tight for racing or just in a lot of control for highway driving and road coursing. And so it's really however you want it, this thing can drive it.
So you're talking about modern comfort, modern performance, all these things. So something I want to talk about is modern power. So as he mentioned earlier, this here is a Hellcrate motor, which is an 800 horsepower setup. What did we have to do to fit this big sucker in this frame? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the frame rails are way skinnier or thinner than the stock setup.
They are, and we had to make it way skinnier in order to get that tire clearance. a stock Cuda frame rails is at like 36 inches. We're down to 30 inches, and that's why we can have that big tire and full steer. And I don't think I mentioned that this is 0 fender mods, by the way. This is all tucked inside your stock looking car. And we didn't have to do much to make this fit, you know, and it is a way bigger motor than the LSs from the Camaros, right? Yeah. But we managed to get all the fit in place. The biggest thing that we had to work through to make it easier for you at the end user is that we'll have our own set of headers that will be specific to this subframe and specific to any 3rd gen Hemi. But then your header is done and you can do your exhaust as you want going out the back end. And that really was the biggest challenge, was trying to get that header to fit in there. But we managed to get it in there.
Awesome. So when you talk about like a narrowed subframe, you know, something that comes to my mind is strength and rigidity.
Right.
When you designed it, what did you do to help with that issue?
Sure. Well, what's great about living today is that our steels are better, our technology is better for designing, obviously. I mentioned about how we had it all in 3D in the computer before we made it. And with all that, we will use is basically 1/8 inch up to 3/16 inch steel plates that's laser cut and CNC bent into shape. And then we and our technicians in the welding department put all those Lego pieces together and make it as rigid as we can. And what we can do with that, that's great, that's better than like hydroforming frames and things, is that we can put internal gussets throughout the frame and put in internal bracing and cross bracing. And so it's not just a hollow tube going down, but it really is rigid and tough and made to take the horsepower that people are going to be putting in.
Awesome. So obviously we have this huge high horsepower American muscle sitting right here between the frame rails. Tell me the back end. What do we do for transmissions?
So for this build, the customer wanted to do a T56 transmission, which is a 6-speed manual, and it's a great transmission.
Absolutely.
A lot of racers use it around the world, and it's a great street transmission as well. In order to do that, QuickTime makes a bell housing that moves the starter from the passenger side over to the driver's side, which is where it was traditionally originally made back in the day, because the motor is so far offset from center line. It's 3/4 of an inch.
Jeez.
We had to go and try to catch that tunnel that's off center. We had to move the motor, we had to move the transmission, and they were able to put the starter on the driver's side at that point for clearance,
right,
and be able to have a T56 transmission.
Okay, so what if somebody doesn't want a T56? I know in like modern Mopars, the starter's already on the driver's side.
Yeah.
So what, you know, how can you throw an 8-speed automatic within our setup?
You just bolt it on the back end where the transmission mounts to the subframe is fully adjustable forward and back. And so you're able to accept really any length of transmission, whatever your heart desires. You can bolt on the back end of this. You'll have to make your tunnel fit whatever transmission you get, but we're already doing tunnel models anyway to fit all these modern transmissions. If you're willing to put in a little bit of work to get the tunnel to fit, you can put any transmission you want.
So to kind of go back to your engineering setup, is that something you can test as well on the computer, different transmissions, the way they fit, positions, like you said, the engine's 3/4 of an inch off, so you can do all that within your simulation?
That's exactly right. I can simulate the entire car digitally inside the computer. I start with the 3D scan. I get a nice clean underbelly and firewall and frame rail and core support and everything like that scan, and I also get a nice profile of the side of the car, so I can build the car as it exists to then put the components up inside of it and see what clears, see what fits, see what we need to do to modify it, try to minimize modifications to the body as much as possible to get all of this modern technology inside a classic car.
That's crazy to me, because I know in the programs that I use to design, it's very basic compared to what you do, but of course I do the graphic design, so you know, we're talking two different worlds here.
Yeah.
And so it just blows my mind the technology that Shane has available to him, and the benefits and things that it brings to our products and for our customers as an end user. So a little bit about that. With the front end, you're able to test compression, turning radius, tire size, spring rates, everything?
Everything, really. I really make a 3D model inside the open space. and I can check all the dynamics of all the suspension geometry and everything. And on top of that, we're using a lot of modern steels in today's manufacturing, and I'm able to put those strengths of materials into the computer and stress test it and push it and pull it and twist it and make sure that nothing is too out of whack or nothing's going to fail on it.
Right.
So everything is nice and rigid and straight, and it doesn't buckle when you have to take that emergency corner because you see something on the highway. The car will hold straight, your tires will grip and pull you around whatever you're going around, and it makes it a safer driving experience on these old cars.
Absolutely, all the way around, because we all know, when you hop in your old muscle car, sometimes you can white knuckle, like you said, passing a semi or anything, but it sounds like you've really taken every measure possible to not only ensure comfortability of the drive, but safety as well.
Exactly right. With the modern brakes and the modern steering racks and with the modern materials and modern manufacturing that we do here, that we're able to really make it just better in all the ways.
So as we said earlier, Mopars are great and they're fantastic cars to go straight. Everybody knows that, right? And so what you have come up with as far as the engineering, you've really turned this into the ultimate street car to not only, again, take to the track, but perform on the street, be comfortable, be reliable. What else do you need in a vintage muscle car from what we have sitting here?
Well, we have two rear end options for you, actually. We have a new torque arm system that we're developing that we'll showcase in another video, I'm sure. And we also have an independent rear suspension system that will go right into this Cuda, and it'll give you all the performance and traction and launch control and everything that you need to really make it a full, complete, modern car with a vintage shell, basically, is what it's going to end up being.
So what you're telling me, not only we have this extreme setup up front, we're going to have the torque arm or the independent rear suspension, which an independent rear suspension in a 50-year-old car, like, come on, that's crazy.
It's freaking cool, but it does a lot too.
And so we're literally from front bumper to back bumper, everything's new, everything's improved. You're not just thinking about putting a 4-link in the rear. You're not just thinking of putting bolt-on suspension in the front. This is everything brand new geometry. Everything's taken and just married to that body.
That's exactly right. And we're doing minimal changes to the original unibody to get this system in as well. We keep that in mind, and a high priority as part of our design criteria is that we don't want this car to look modern. We want to keep the old look. We might lower it down a little bit and kind of make it a little more aggressive look.
Absolutely.
But we're not going to flare the fenders. We're not going to do massive tubs on the inside. We're just going to keep everything pretty sleepery, it won't look like it's a heavily modified car. It'll just have a good stance. But like you said, it's a whole system, and they're married together beautifully, and one is improved by the other, though you could have them independent. If you already did the rear end of your car and you want to improve the front end, you can have it separate, but they are meant to work together as a whole unit.
So what you're saying is that everything's designed front to back to be one happy muscle car.
That's
performing in every way possible.
That's right.
Doing whatever you want, whatever challenge you throw at it.
That's right. If you're cruising down Main Street, or if you want to make a daily driver out of your classic and show off all the boys at work, or if you want to take it to amateur racing, we got the system for you, and it's this system. This just modernizes the entire classic car to be a safer, more reliable, predictable, drivable car. Front, rear, everything.
And that's so exciting to me, and I know that it's going to be a game changer for all of the Mopar fans out there. We have proven performance on the street, on the track with all of our GM muscle cars. And so this is something we want to introduce to a company that basically doesn't have many options, and it's going to be something that is a complete game changer.
It will. For the people that really want to modernize their car and they love the Cudas and they love the Challengers and the Chargers and all those Mopar fans out there, we can really modernize their cars and make them last for the next generation.
Which is awesome. And so like he said, not only the Cuda and the Challenger, we're talking Charger, Roadrunner, so E-body, B-body.
E-body,
B-body. We've been working on this Cuda project. I know we have another project we've been working on for the B-body, which is going to be amazing. I mean,
Well, it's basically the same system, right? You know, a few points have changed because they're different bodies, different wheelbases, but it's going to be the same system, the same technology. You'll get all the same advantages, same ease of installation, all of it.
so same performance, same geometry in the front.
That's right.
Everything. So really, it's not only a whole new setup, but it's also replicatable for all of our Mopar fans and the builders out there that do a lot of Mopar builds. Once you do one, it's going to be very easy to just keep doing these and getting these beasts out on the road.
We're really meaning to change the game in the Mopar world.
So when we talk about improved geometry, I'm sure a lot of people out there are like me. I don't really have a clue of what it takes to get there. You know, obviously we all know how to set up your caster and your camber and all those kind of things, but what does this include for all that? What have you taken into consideration when designing this, and what kind of tunability and things are included in the front end?
I mean, this really could be a 4-hour lecture, really, honestly, with all the things that are going on. But in quick summary, the main thing is that we kept the roll center down low and predictable. So when you take a corner, the roll center moves with the car and keeps it underneath the car, so you're not swaying the car too much back and forth. And that is done with putting the control arms in the right angle and the right position and the right length, and having the spindle right height at the right place. And with the spindle, we're able to get our bump steer basically to 0 over 4 inches.
Wow.
So again, we're going for that predictability, that reliability over the travel of the whole system. And then with that bump steer at, you know, basically 0, we can achieve that 30 plus degrees of steering. And with that 30 plus degrees of steering, we have the Ackerman dialed in exactly where it needs to be. So it points, the geometry points to the rear end. And this is getting nerdy, I know. But basically all these little nerdy points is why new cars drive so much better than old cars.
Right.
Because with modern modeling, you're able to map all these points out and see how they move and interact with each other through the dynamics of the suspension going down the road. And that's what we did with this, and we're able to get all those points dialed right in to be a nice driving, nice racing car.
Again, the reason why I brought Shane out here, not only is he a muscle car guy, but he is a nerd. He's got a brain inside of that head that I don't have, and he's done things to design this that are completely changing the game for not only street ability on the track. Who do you work with also to do this? Because I know you sit behind your computer. You also drive a muscle car. How have you developed this system?
Well, you know, on top of all the 3D modeling and everything, that is only, you know, maybe a quarter of the information. You really need a team of drivers out there, and that's what we do have here at SpeedTech. Is we have a team of drivers that are going out and racing semi-professionally, good guys, autocross, and ultimate street car competitions. And what they do is they take our products, they put them in their own cars, and they punish them, and they push them to the limit, and they see what the very edge of what they can perform at.
Right.
And any feedback that we get from them, you know, we can take it in and then weigh out the options of how to make the change and the adjustments and just continually improve the product to be better and better. And so far, we haven't had any catastrophic failures out on the track. We haven't had any major blow-ups or anything, and we know this is a good product. We know this is a safe product because of the hours and the miles and the races that these vehicles have gone through with our components and our frames and our system in them.
So like you said, we have a team of drivers all around the country. We have Nick Galapagos, Chris Smith, we have John Woods, we have Alan Miller, all these guys pushing all different kinds of cars to their limit. And so it's tested. We've taken all their feedback and given it to you, and you've taken it into this new product, and so now he's going to be able to throw it to you guys and give you the ultimate setup.
That's right. It's fully engineered, it's fully simulated, and it's fully proven out on the harshest conditions that you can put these things in. And so this is ready to go. It's ready to improve your vehicle.
So like he said, everything that you could possibly want is right here for your vintage E-body or B-body. You definitely want to give us a call. You don't want to miss out on this. It is available now. And you definitely want to also subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those places to listen to words that come from his mouth that make more sense than what I have to say. And we'll catch you next time.